Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. For those in the archive, welcome. We are back with Star Trek Adventures Aegis, and today's episode, Scum and Villainy. At the top here, I would like to make one special little note. I am very pleased to welcome back our Chief Science Officer player, Drone, who plays the role of Kieran Patel. We had, due to real world circumstances, looked like we were going to have to part for a time, but I'm pleased to say that he is able to rejoin us at the virtual table. So, Drone, welcome back. It's great to have you.
Yep, great to be back.
Yeah. All right. So, before we get started, a quick recap. The Aegis is presently on a fairly desperate race to follow a clue after a very startling series of events. For those here in the stream that are just seeing this for the first time, I would encourage you to go back through the archive and watch Escalation to get a full sense of that, the exact issues. But the key points are that in the past day or so, a Tellarite fleet had shown up, or rather a series of them in different areas along the frontier between Tellar and Earth. The sheer size and scale of the mobilization suggested that this might be a large military movement of some sort, possibly in retaliation for how First Contact, such that you could call it that, went awry during the Alpha Centauri crisis, or perhaps it dealt with other issues such as the earlier contact at Zoran Station. In any case, it was a bit of a mystery to you for a time, and the Aegis was simply forced to pull back a bit and monitor the situation. You managed to keep that distance for a time, but the situation rapidly became clear that a large number of Tellarite ships seemingly stood arrayed against a handful of Earth vessels in this area, or forced to guard what Earth assets were in this area, and that indeed, if they did make a move, there'd be little standing between them up until they got to Sol. However, you steadily gathered information that suggested that there was a very different angle to all of this. In particular, Lieutenant Shearer gathered intelligence suggesting that the mobilization had only been a very recent affair for the Tellarites, and indeed seemed prompted by an emergency circumstance, whereas Mr. Saral, your Vulcan guide, seemed to find information suggesting from one of his contacts in Tellar's scientific community that there wasn't any suggestion of an inclination towards war. Very little else in the way of intelligence. Colonel Sharp eventually erred towards taking the Aegis towards the nearest battle group and basically throwing down the gauntlet, issuing a challenge and trying to figure out the situation. When you made contact, you encountered now Rear Admiral Dega, a Tellarite admiral who some of the crew had met all those months ago back during their first mission to Alpha Centauri, when he unceremoniously shot his own commanding officer and the rebellious Governor Slocum, all to justify that the Tellarite presence needed to end. He seems to have done well for himself in the meantime, and while the situation was quite tense, it seems as though his intentions were not hostile towards you necessarily. Indeed, he was very surprised by word of the bombings that have been carried out on Alpha Centauri and at the Earth Embassy on Vulcan. He also was eventually a bit more forthcoming about how a theft has occurred somewhere in Tellarite space, and a very precious cargo has been taken from them. To this end, you've offered the ability to assist, and you've come to an agreement. You have about 2 weeks Earth time to help them basically track down the raiders and find the cargo, either retrieving that or the responsible parties, and basically having an explanation that he can take back to Tellar Prime. To that end, he did furnish you with information on a warp trail. There were two of them, one for what appears to be a Tellarite freighter, and the other which appears to be an Orion craft, with a sensor roll that closed out the last session. Although they were taking considerable efforts to hide them and obscure the warp trails. You do believe that you had a trail, and this is what you have been following for what will be for our time skip these next 3 days. So that is where we will join the rest of the crew proper, uh, with the Aegis at warp, on approach to the on approach to where the warp trails seem to end, and we'll be able to follow up with more on that matter. Just as far as updates from outside the ship, um, there has been there have been smatterings of news coverage and intelligence reports that have come to a certain extent, regarding first uh, the very general crisis going on back close to home. You have at this point learned that Enterprise, after having rendezvoused with Admiral Forrest, has arrived in Vulcan orbit, where, together with Captain Archer, they are pressing the Vulcan High Command to conduct an investigation into the bombing at the Earth Embassy, which left. At this point, it is known to be 47 people dead, including Ambassador Saval. Um, Less information is available, unfortunately, regarding Alpha Centauri. The Vulcans are assisting on a humanitarian effort, or rather, an effort to support the sentient sapient life of the zone, but the scale of the disaster is still not yet well understood. It is, however, speculated that the death toll could surpass the 100 mark for the spaceport that was bombed. Uh, all of this, while deeply troubling, is not your immediate concern. That is reserved for the Tellarite positioning along essentially Earth's frontiers. There's some reassuring news that it seems they have drawn back a ways in most cases, although there are slight reports suggesting that some may still be concentrated near where you made contact and near a binary pair of systems, which have since been identified as Tellarite. So the Damocles sword still hangs over your heads, but it might be it at least shows that Admiral Dega seems to be true to his word, or has made a successful argument on your behalf. Otherwise, it has been just a lot of questions being thrown around. Uh, some concerned, some more fearful statements, others a bit more bellicose, trying to find ways that Starfleet might respond to any of these situations. Um, for now, all you can do is continue your investigation, which, for the time being, you have Starfleet's blessing to proceed as you deem necessary. Let's follow in with the crew at this point. I guess kind of we'll go down, I think, the list here, and just kind of follow the order. Starting with you, Colonel Sharp. Is there anything in particular over the 3 days of searching that you would want to specifically engage with?
Well, quick question to the GM.
Yeah.
Did I get any more info regarding Alpha Centauri through my wife?
She has not been able to pull much together. The Vulcans are keeping a very tight lid, and unlike your recent experience with the Tellarites here, they seem to be engaging a great deal more operational security.
Alpha Centauri is an independent planet again. Yeah, right. Sorry.
Independent with a protective Vulcan presence here, or guaranteeing their independence.
I would probably like a day or two into the travel on warp. I would make my way to sickbay.
Okay. Halfway through the trip, before you arrive where the warp trail ends, Colonel Sharp, you at one point pay a visit to the sickbay, where I would imagine you find Dr. Lambeth tending to what little preparations you can still do at this point. I will say, for your part, Doctor, you've had medical teams and trauma teams ready as best as they could for the extended period of time, but at this point there's very little that can be, well, very little more preparation you can do in this case.
But yeah, Sharp would walk in. Doctor, do you have a moment?
Yeah, I've got time. What's this all about?
I've been having a bit of a migraine that's just it mellowed out, but certainly hasn't gone anyway. I was hoping you had some kind of painkillers or something to deal with it.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I can prescribe you something. So you want to give me any details on causes? Like anything weird been happening with you other than the migraines?
I mean, outside of the universe starting to get very tense at the moment. She smiles a slight as she sits down in a cot. Not really. Staying up more, I guess.
Well, it's not exactly my area of expertise, but it could be stress related, or again, lack of sleep. I mean, either way, I can drop you some painkillers, but those aren't necessarily a long-term solution if this keeps sticking around.
It's more just in the back area a little bit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand. Again, I'm more of a broken arm kind of fixing doctor rather than a headaches one, but yeah, I can still sort you out with stuff.
I'd imagine a headache is preferable than a broken arm.
In some ways, yeah.
How are you holding up, Doctor?
Well, I'm doing well enough. I mean, I haven't got a headache. Other than that, yeah. Obviously, it's just a waiting game, really. The moment something happens, I'm sure I'll be swamped, and that's probably when the headaches will start. But until then, I'm managing all right.
Good. How is your team handling? How's your extended team handling things?
Yeah, I mean, I've made the appropriate requisitions. Everyone seems to understand what they need to be doing. We've got enough people, I think, at this point.
I meant more the morale.
Morale-wise, again, not my specialty, but nothing's gone super bad yet. I mean, obviously, lots of bad things are happening, but they're where the ship isn't, mostly. So,
I'm a doctor.
Yeah, I guess just...
I was just going to enter in with the, I'm a doctor, not a cruise activities director.
Yeah.
Hey, cruise activity directors are important people. I played one.
Oh, shush. Great. Just give me some of the headache for the migraine.
Yeah, sure. I will grab something for the headache.
Okay.
And hand it over.
I will not.
There.
I won't force a roll
Yeah.
here. There's just this is a simple thing that you could administer. Not even the use of a hypo is necessary. And you can always hypo the captain if you want, but you don't have to.
Remember, you can always hypo the captain. Anytime you want to.
Hypo the captain.
There may be times.
Yeah, well, that's everything. If you ever need anything else, you're welcome to come here.
Thanks, Doctor. Keep up the good work. She just gets up and,
as always,
leaves.
Let's go elsewhere about the ship then, and check in among the other players. In particular, let's check in with one we haven't heard from in a good long while. Commander Patel, what would you be... would there be anything in particular that you would be up to before you reach the end of the warp trail?
I think the way that I sort of imagine explaining my absence generally is just like he's been really engrossed in his work the last couple of like weeks or months or whatever. And especially now with like the constant shifts that are going on and sort of constant level of readiness and whatever, he's just like always alternating between his post and then like 8 hours of rack time and then back at his post all the time. Not that he has a lot to do, like he does, but he's just sort of like poring over the same sensor reports and looking at the same data over and over again.
Yeah.
What data are you looking at? If you've shared that at all?
I mean, I think Great question. I think like he would have been just making sure that we were staying on the warp trail, and that like we're not losing anything from those sensor reports of like trying to put us in the right direction, because we were following a warp trail, right, at some point.
Yep.
Yes.
And so making sure that that doesn't go cold, basically, because I think maybe in the back of his mind he's concerned that for whatever reason, I don't know, the ship or him or the sensors or whatever would maybe like lose that trail or something. And he's keyed up. He's nervous. He's a nervous dude. He's always like that.
Yeah.
Especially when you saw your own death.
Yeah, totally. That's the thing. Maybe like chiseling away at the back of his mind that he's not dedicating any bandwidth to.
Yeah, I could see Patel easily, if not tackling the same sort of academic problems, but maybe returning to an older, something closer to resembling an academic sleep schedule, long days at work, and maybe getting a little more sleep than he used to, but still not too much. But
yep, pretty much.
Yeah. In any case, that will bear out though, where you are still following the particular warp trail. It has been whoever had the captors, the raiders, seem to have done a great deal to try to obfuscate both warp trails, and there are times where it becomes a bit more intermittent or the techniques become quite considerable. But between your own work, that of your supporting science department, and in particular the Aegis's heavily modified or heavily improved sensors, you are keeping enough of an eye on the parts of the warp trail to be able to stitch something together. For every mild course correction they seem to have made, you are still able to make an appropriate correction and keep the helm updated, more or less following a pretty consistent course. So.
Yeah, and I think he's also the type of person who maybe wouldn't be delegating, even though it's a pretty basic task. I think he wouldn't be delegating something like this. I think just because he knows that there's probably a decent amount of things riding on it.
Indeed. Well, for any of this, would you obviously, I gather it's very much like nose to the grindstone, or in this case, the sensor console, when he's off the bridge and there's not as much interaction. Would you, or do you think that Patel might have a conversation with any other characters at this time? Or would you want a scene of any sort?
I mean, I don't have any ideas for one, but I would think if he were to have one, or one that would immediately make sense based on the last 6 hours that I've listened to, would be like, so I'm on the bridge and the captain's obviously not there right now, but I do seem to have a habit now of giving the con over to Lieutenant Shira.
I thought that would be a sensible touch. So that yeah.
But that's if Craig's up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a specific direction I want to go in that, so we'd be sort of freeforming it a little bit. But
okay, if you guys want to do something now, then we can definitely make that work. Otherwise, if you want to wait and revisit that until we are like basically ahead in the timeline to that fourth day, then we can just move ahead at that point.
let me get my space legs back a little bit.
Sounds
and then
good.
we can do that.
Let's go on that line then. Okay. So we'll keep on going down the line. Craig, is there anything in particular you think Lieutenant Shira would be anything you would want to do with her in these next few days while the ship is at warp?
Yeah. So the engine signature from the ship we're following resembled that of an Orion ship. So I'll have tried to call up any information that the Imperial Guard possess on Orion movements, recent movements, and also have looked into Starfleet security procedures around Orion.
Okay. Well, I will tell you what, since you are since you have established a channel with Andorian military intelligence, and I imagine the captain is providing you suitable access on when it comes to Starfleet intelligence or Starfleet security protocols here. If you'd like to make a roll here at the start, I would be willing to call this a difficulty 1 reason and security roll.
Security, nice. Okay.
Also, I'm attempting to be better about enforcing the momentum loss between scenes. So I think, or rather, between scenes, and we've switched over adventures, which for this one I will abstain from taking more threat, but I'm doing so at the cost of 2 of the momentum you have in the pool. So I'm just going to go ahead and recall that. You still have 1 left over from last time.
You took it all.
Well, in order to make it as smooth as possible, I had to take it all from you first before I could give it back.
Okay. In that case, I will give you a threat, because I'll use bold security to get myself an extra dice.
The GM appreciates your threats.
Ooh. You know what? Oh wow. Rolling is hopeless there, but at least I got one there.
Yeah, there's 1 success. I'm prepared to be at least a little kind, and since you are pulling some of this up via since some of this is actually being communicated through Andorian military intelligence, if somebody would like to roll for the ship, I will allow for communications and security to be included as well.
Sure.
I'll roll for the ship. Unless you got it. You can do it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, great. And you want what? Communications and
security.
Communications, security, 2 dice, right?
No. For the
1 dice of focus, right?
Yes. For everyone's reference, for those who are unfamiliar with Star Trek Adventures. So first off, I've brought up a few times before that this runs off Modiphius's 2d20 system. So your goal is to you roll. In most cases, someone will roll 2 dice as a base, and you are aiming to hit a target number at or below a number. Lower is good or will lead to critical success. Higher higher would lead to failures. A nat 20 would be a critical failure. A nat 1 would be a critical success. So flipping the tradition in that sense. There are special circumstances where different amounts of dice are rolled, and one of them would be assists. Now, an assist always comes at a single d20 roll. That can be done either by another player, an NPC, or, in this case, by a starship. Which starships are unique in that they never roll 2 d20s on a task roll because they are always the assisting figure. They are literally a supportive. They are their own character in a sense, but they are also the obviously no player acts as the ship individually. Bless you there.
Yes.
But they also have the unique benefit of when they roll, they always get what is considered a focus, which basically expands the critical success range from just a 1 to whatever, in this case, the personnel amount is. So in this case, I believe it is based on the Aegis' security staff, which I think that's maybe 2 or 3 for a critical success range. I don't remember exactly, but yes, so it is a single d20 to assist, and a focus is considered as being active for the ship. So give it a roll, Brian. Well then, that is 2 successes from the ship. Yeah.
Good shit. Well done.
Okay, so that will give you back. Yep, that'll give you 2 momentum. Craig, draw at your leisure there. Now, so far as the information that you are looking up, Starfleet itself is a bit lacking right now in terms of contacts with the Orion. There have been maybe a few small instances or suspected reports of Orion activity around smaller colonies, or even possible rumors of illicit trade concerns near some of the ports. The general file that seems to have been copied from the Vulcan database is don't interact with the Orions. Just don't do it.
Not bad advice.
Yeah, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Did that episode where the Enterprise ran into some Orions happen yet?
Has not happened yet.
Nope.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, bound has not occurred yet, so I think that actually Enterprise had only had they'd had an encounter with Orion culture vaguely. They've been kind of in the area. They had visited the Borderlands, which is controlled by the Orion Syndicate, or at least that is their sphere of influence. It had at one point been the home, or rather, it had been the outskirts of a much larger ancient Orion empire before their back during their golden age, basically. But it's obviously receded quite a bit. But yeah, so far as Andorian intelligence is concerned, assets are a little bit narrower right now, just because of the focus on trying to tease out Vulcan intentions and capabilities. At present, it seems as though, however, there hasn't been much in the way of an organized Orion movement of some sort. There's some allusion to activities of what may be called the Three Sisters, and maybe a few other isolated crime bosses, but it seems to be mostly the same sort of turf wars, competition for other resources. Some are trying to make inroads apparently into Beta Rigel, if some of the intelligence is to be believed, home to the major Rigelian colonies and their species. But yeah, nothing that would suggest, say, a particular play in the local area to stir up anything between Earth, Tellar Prime, Vulcan, anything like that.
Okay.
Would there be anything else you'd want to be looking at right now?
I think that's probably it for now.
Okay, we'll move on down the line.
I guess maybe
Go ahead.
refamiliarize myself with Orion ship tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah. The general principle is that given the type of warp trail you're seeing, it's likely a smaller ship, so think raiders in the scale 2 range. You kind of outclass them in terms of weight, but they try to make up for that with sort of fast maneuverable tactics, probably getting in to cannon range and trying to basically jab and weave, as it were. So, other than that, let's move on down the list. Dr. Lambeth, obviously you had a moment earlier with the scene, but would there be anything else that you'd be interested in doing these next, or during the 3-day span?
No, I don't think so. He'll just be prepping things.
Killing time.
Yeah. Yep.
Killing time so that nothing else dies.
Yeah, killing time so he's not killing patients.
Oh, what a track record.
Yeah, he's being patient so he doesn't lose patience.
Patience saves patience.
Yes, that's it. That's good.
Can we have this like taped to the sickbay door? This like slogan.
Yeah, I think he's been going through a couple, like trying to find some good morale boosting slogans.
Somebody could do like a cross stitch, like a little piece of like crafts or whatever, and put it on the wall.
Yeah, as well. I mean, he's a surgeon. He's got dexterous hands or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So he can probably do some good knitting.
Yeah, no, that's an exercise both in precision and patience, because you are repeatedly stabbing something throughout the day in order to get that pattern right.
Mm.
I like it. Well, We'll leave the doctor to his knitting for now. Elsewhere on the ship, Brian, what do you think that Commander Romanov would be up to?
Well, I was making sure that there was engineering supplies in all the various store areas as well as medical, all throughout the ship.
Yeah.
Keeping
Damage
things
control teams
cool.
are definitely intact. Or
Good. And probably just keeping ourselves busy with work because there's no information on Alpha Centauri. She'll probably do breakfast with her favorite Andorian. That tends to be her usual go-to. And
Routine. Nice.
yeah, it's kind of a routine. Maybe she's probably at the gym because she's got energy to work off. So it's probably what's going on, If there's now, I have those probes that we've been designing to sort of fake people out. She'd be working on those because those could be a lifesaver, if we are in a situation where we're outnumbered and outgunned, we might be able to buy ourselves some time.
You definitely have the jury-rigged materials. Rather, you have the probe set up in such a manner, not where it is properly jury-rigged in reference to the talent, but you were able to, I think, rig something up to where it could provide a brief distraction after the previous session's work.
I will have our favorite Vulcan take a look at it because I know he's good at hot rodding stuff. So
would you?
But Spock isn't born yet.
No, our favorite Vulcan.
Rips off mask. I am Spock.
That's right. So she'd probably make sure that he can get access to that. If not, have him come, call him down and have him look at it, see if he can think of any improvements or anything.
Just, god damn it, Felix. Now I have to toss out character arc Zeta and replace that with something else. I don't have many Greek letters left, you guys.
Well, sounds like a you problem.
Sounds like a you problem.
It is.
Technically a Greek problem, but...
At any rate, you're able to get things set up in a way that is to your liking. I'm sure that, Romanov will apply herself to all of these activities, as unfortunately there's just so little that can give her assurance of her of the situation back home.
She'll probably practice she'll probably practice Vulcan martial arts because that calms her.
Yes.
That's what her teacher taught her. So she's probably using that to calm herself down, just going through the various dances, for that art.
Well, as Romanov tries to keep the stress down, Felix, what do you think Mr. Saral would be up to in these ensuing few days?
Well, I think the main preoccupation would be learning more about how to deal and neutralize chemocyte in case everything goes inevitably wrong.
Very well. If
Like a small passion project.
Yeah. If you would like the opportunity to roll on that, I'd be willing to give you something to give yourself a little more research.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, well,
There's also probably like a screen on the workbench where the modified tricorder is plugged in and like several programs and scans, etc. is just running constantly.
Indeed.
It's like a background flimmering.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you may from time to time see a few glimmers of it processing something, although it's the program that you're attempting to compile is not quite in a position yet to be field tested, I'd think. All of that said, go ahead and give me I'm going to call this reason plus science as you conduct this analysis, and let's go with a what would it be? Difficulty of 3 on this in order to find a possible principle to neutralize the chemosite. I will allow the ship to also assist here. I know technically it would be the shuttle, but just rolling with the Aegis makes a bit more sense.
Yeah.
And for that, I would call it computers and science.
Okay, I have
Good.
Yeah, if you'd care to grab that, that'd be helpful.
I would give you a threat for bold science to buy another die.
The GM appreciates your threat.
Focuses. Investigation?
It's kind
troubleshooting, technically.
It's kind of loose, but I'll allow it this time.
The player appreciates
that. What for the ship? You wanted
computers and science, please.
Computers and science.
I would re-roll the 0.
Okay.
Yes!
That is 4 successes after bold. So that will put you 1 over the difficulty and gain 1 more point of momentum. So
to boldly science when no one scienced before.
Yes.
That's Soral's pretty much. That's his call sign.
Yep. So, Soral, you recognize that a lot of this is going to depend on the precise levels of enrichment that you are dealing with for the chemosite. At some lower levels of refinement, this would be a fairly simple matter, actually, of pretty much allowing the particles to dissipate. So if some ne'er-do-well were trying to take the freighter away and had no other opportunity to do so, or there was no other opportunity to stop them, and you were reasonably certain that it would be used for poor ends, or even worse, refined to a higher level of enrichment, destroying a ship with low refined chemosite would be viable. It'd be better if it were an uninhabited region, just because of any residual chance for contamination, but you don't know many inhabited systems that are anywhere immediately close by that would be affected. This is more like a local concern. At higher levels, that tactic starts getting more dicey, and you would definitely want to retrieve the freighter and be able to, honestly, probably some bit of machinery that you have here might allow you to process that down a little bit, or maybe even find ways of expending it. You just don't want to blow up a large quantity of it, and
yes,
every indication. Go ahead.
Is there maybe a way? Since, Soral's reasoning is you don't, especially Orions, don't steal large amounts of chemosite at the same time as 2 other bombings take place with peaceful purposes. Are they connected? I don't know. But still, it's better safe than sorry. So the reasoning is, if this gets blown up by design or by accident, is there maybe a way to limit the explosion, or to what's what I'm looking for? Intervene in a chain reaction, just abort it? Is there some phaser frequency that would disturb the material enough that it doesn't chain react and everything explodes? They can throw a fire blanket over it.
With a ship with more, shall we say, standard Vulcan equipment, this might have been an easier process, because while in general you don't want an antimatter warhead to interact with something like this, there are modifications that could be made to such weapons in order to nullify chemosite, or at least nullify the bulk of the reaction. Or enough to where it wouldn't be, say, a large threat to anything majorly in the system. That's that being said, the Aegis has a great deal more limitations. So far as you know, they have very like for space purposes, they have very light conventional explosives tipped on their torpedoes, and like very little else in the way of other useful equipment. In this case, reed shields, tractor beams.
Fucking Earthlings. I'm terrified of my own questioning, but Cyril would immediately think, can I improvise an antimatter torpedo?
I mean,
because we do have an antimatter reaction, don't we?
Yeah.
Technically.
I mean, you have all the components for at least the magnetic bottle and everything necessary for like an antimatter explosion. Worst case scenario,
once again, the Aegis finds itself waking up and thinking about inventing weapons of mass destruction.
Do we not have photonic torpedoes?
Nope. You still left with the loadout of phase cannons and the spatial like basic explosive torpedoes.
But it's not nuclear torpedoes.
And we have one nuke, which I had to acquire.
Oh, good to know. I'm sure this will come in handy.
Yeah, I don't know that Colonel Sharp has.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's like burning out the fuel of a fire before it. So we just blow it up with the nuclear explosion. Nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, Cyril doesn't know.
Exactly.
I smell weapons of mass destruction a mile away.
We have the nuke for cooking purposes, okay? How many of us have nuked food this week, right?
Yeah,
huh?
I will tell you.
Load with health.
I will tell you this, Saral. There are definitely ways to improvise an antimatter explosive or other type of weapon like that. The primary issue is that anything that you could engineer would probably not be well suited to a delivery system. That is to say, the torpedoes that they have on the vessel. So in order to do this, it would have to be like a precision transport, or it would have to be dropped like a mine, possibly with one of the ship's grapplers. Which the idea of dragging an antimatter warhead on a grappling hook connected to the ship in the moment that comes across. Yeah,
the old Earth tradition of hammer throw. I'm sure the ship will make it work.
Well, it's more like holding a grenade without the pin for longer than you are comfortable with.
That's fine. It's just cooking it. So, and I think you already shot that down in the explanation. But so beaming like matter antimatter wouldn't also be an option.
I mean, not without it being contained in something. You can't transport raw antimatter just in and of itself.
Yeah, but couldn't you beam it out of something it is contained in? Because as soon as it's there where it's supposed to, it should explode.
I would think that it I'm just going to say no, and that screwy things happen when you try to compress antimatter into a data stream. If it were in a physical containment of some sort that like has the appropriate fields to regulate that, then sure, why not? But otherwise, that just sounds like a bad idea, and I'm going to nip that in the bud.
I'm all about bad ideas. It's more like I theoretically I have every part for like an antimatter warhead at hand, but it's not practical at all. And it's like it's fair enough that just runs through his head and just immediately discarded. It's like would be nice, but no. Yeah. You have no shields. You have no tractor beam.
Your shuttle at least has some of that, but it's obviously much smaller scale.
Yeah, this is probably like the question on his mind, like how to intervene with the chemosite explosion, or how to deal with that, and also trying to figure out if he can it's more like a curiosity thing, if he can figure out if these two explosions and the theft are actually connected or not. But I don't think he has enough geopolitical insights to really do what
I can make you a lunchbox of doom to store some antimatter, and then when we need it to blow up, you just get in your shuttle, fly at the enemy, and open the lunchbox.
Yeah, and then you explain to the captain in the meeting why Soral left the system with a box of antimatter provided by the Aegis.
Good point. That's why that's not.
Oh, thank you very much. If your antimatter shouldn't be that hard to get a hold of, I think. Yeah, but so we don't really have the technology to deal with that. That's unfortunate.
Not easily. It would definitely take some engineering and requisitioning of parts, but yeah. So, yeah, I guess otherwise you continue to ponder the problem and the complex problem of breaking down or finding a way to nullify Chemosite if it were indeed to go up and if such a situation were to arise. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've informed the Colonel about this, but I don't know. Would that have been broadly raised to the rest of the crew at this point, Colonel?
About the team site? Yeah,
Yes.
we just when we end session last week, it was to make a meeting about that.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shame. Because I was about to drop Patel a message like, how do you deal with a large chemosite explosion? She's like, what?
I mean, he is a PhD in geology.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been told to everybody.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess
at least the department heads.
Yes, it is on the GM then for not remembering that, and I guess we could have started off with a small meeting just to cover that, but such is life sometimes.
I mean, it was a simple thing that we could handwave it through.
Yeah. Okay, well let's move up to that last day then, since we've given everybody a look around here. It is early on the shift that day. The Colonel's not yet joined the bridge crew, but we will cut to bridge, where, as has been happening a few times recently, while Commander Patel is the senior most officer on the bridge, he's been keeping to his work this time less for the fun of having the ability to run the sensors, and more because he has the urgent need to keep track of this warp trail. And as such, Lieutenant Shira, he has given you the con for the time being. So we start off early morning. Alpha shift is just about to get set. Everyone is, I imagine, still maybe pounding a bit of extra coffee since there's a 4-shift rotation now in place.
Yep.
So,
I imagine something like 4 hours at a time.
Would there be before Sharp has a chance to join, would we be doing anything in particular, or would you be up to anything in particular? At least for those that are on the bridge.
Maybe adjusted the temperature of the room down a little bit.
Patel is shivering, but he's too engrossed in whatever he's doing to do anything about it.
Frostbite all over the bridge.
Conley's got like frozen snot from his hanging from his nose.
Crichton has fingerless gloves and a mug of hot cocoa.
The temperature's still at double figures of Celsius. So, yeah,
it's still a balmy, 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, well, wait, no, it's double-digit Celsius, so it would at least have to be over 32.
Because that makes sense.
Yes. But yes, as Crichton blows steam off of his hot cocoa and realizes some of that is just his breath. Colonel, I imagine you arrive on the bridge.
Yeah, she'll just pause. Something wrong with the internal
environmental controls.
Environmental controls. Thank you. Is something wrong with environmental controls?
Nothing's been reported. Why do you ask, sir?
It's a bit chilly. She says, like she like breathes out and realizes it's condensation air.
I hadn't noticed it getting chilly at all.
Shiro, we discussed this. We agreed to around 50.
Fine. I'll raise the temperature.
So you begin adjusting the thermostat, and Shira, Sharp relieves you of your post there. Relief tactical moving off, and yeah, you return to your spot on the at tactical here. Sharp, would you like to take your chair?
Yep, she definitely would.
If you can move your token. Very good. Overshot. There we go. Perfect.
She sits herself down and kind of just rubs her arms a little bit, trying to get some warmth in while waiting for the temperature to get back up.
Yep. At this point, the Connolly looks at his helm display and says, "Oh, Commander, I'd like your confirmation on this, but I'm coordinating with navigation here. Looks like we might be hitting the end of the trail and some sort of stellar phenomena up ahead of some sort."
She looks over to Patel. Mr. Patel.
I switch over to like the other side of my console and beep some boops.
Yep.
Is there anything I can throw up on the screen or anything like that, or is it?
Regrettably, I do not have a tactical display of any sort for this, but I will ask you for a reason and science roll to assess what's going on. I can at least give you passively that your sensors are indicating that the warp trail seems to be terminating up ahead, and the final adjustment does seem to be taking it towards some sort of stellar object of some sort.
Yeah, I was more asking about since he's a science department, what the stellar object or whatever was.
This is to find out, right? Or is it a freebie?
Well, I'll whisper you the freebie bit here, but I will ask you to do a roll just to track things here. Let me just get that along. So, and the ship may also assist on that roll here.
Anybody got that, or should I?
See, I think Brian had the ship
whoever else
rolls
had it open.
previously.
I didn't have it open.
Sorry, I was muted, so you didn't hear something. I'm rolling now.
Yep.
Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
I have a question on what you just whispered to me. I'm going to Discord you, or I guess I can whisper back.
Either way works.
Okay, what's the?
Unclear.
What are we rolling? What is
you would be
that?
rolling sensors and science for this.
Okay. Sensors and science. And here we go.
Okay. And just in case
That came through, right?
Yes, it did. So I am reviewing that now. So that is a total of 3 successes on the board for this particular roll. So I did get back to you in the Discord and
Got it.
also clarified a detail in the Roll20 chat. I apologize for the different array of things. I've been experimenting with different ways of sending the messages along here.
Yeah, what's the syntax for Roll20, and then I'll just start using that. Is just /whisper and then your name or something?
Yeah, /W and then the name shows up.
Okay. Captain, it looks like we're approaching what the star charts are referring to as the Oliver Barrett Nebula. However, it seems like the charts are a little out of date, because it looks like the nebula is partially taking over a dull red dwarf star. It looks like a rogue system or just a star without any planetary bodies. But either way, the charts say that nebula shouldn't be overtaking that star quite like that.
Any concerns regarding sensors related to the nebula or the red dwarf?
I would go ahead and give you, Patel, that going into the nebula properly would be a would make things a bit more difficult for your sensors. It would essentially nullify the advantage of your advanced sensor suites.
Yeah, well, while I don't not advise that course of action, Captain, just be aware that it'll make our sensors a little bit overloaded, little overtaxed, and not quite as accurate as they usually are.
So noted. Conley, let's get to the X on the map.
Aye, sir. Patel, as you look over the sensors, and because I don't have this quite in a handy way to get this sent out, I've been having trouble with the handouts of late. I'm just going to read off other things that you start to notice as you close in with that roll at a 3 here. And we can just say that you relay this by word of mouth to the bridge crew.
Yep.
So yours, as you look at closer readouts from this, you're spotting that your sensors are seeing things that previous probes or whatever prior survey information of the system had not identified. In particular, it seems as though there is well, for one thing, there's definitely a sign of near where the warp trail terminates, and it seems to be fairly close to a cluster of asteroids, of which there are a smattering throughout the system, all at considerable distances. I'd say in the tens of astronomical units, which, for those that don't know the terminology, that's roughly the distance between our Earth and the Sun. So it's quite far apart from anything else in the system. They're basically just small clusters of various types of rock and what have you. The warp trail seems to terminate within 500,000 kilometers of that cluster. From what you are picking up at this range, there are signs of you can make out vague composition of ores, mostly a lot of carbon materials, some potential organic precursors like carbon, nitrogen, possibly frozen water ice, other materials. Also, there are signs of metallic compounds, iron, and even some precursors to duranium. The more interesting thing, however, is that while it's difficult to scan through everything, there are signs of energy generation or power signatures, and also the ion trails consistent with impulse drives being used. So I'd say that without spending the momentum to obtain information, you wouldn't be able to tease out the precise nature of all of those craft. But you do have at least a rough idea that there seems to be one central asteroid where most of the power signatures seem to be emanating from. There may be some routes that you can take to arrive there either with the Aegis itself or with a smaller craft, but you don't have a precise readout or mapping of the location.
Is the momentum tracker accurate right now that we have 3?
Yes, it is.
Can I spend 1 momentum and with my studious trait ask 2 questions?
I will allow that.
My first question would be, so the power readings, like specifically on this thing, like in the middle, I assume it's like out of character meta wise, I assume it's like a station or something. Can I compare those power readings to something like the amount of power that is generated by the ship, like our ship? So like I can roughly tell, are we going into a situation where we're outnumbered or not?
I will say with that question, I would give you that based on the, you can tease out with that question some slight differences in terms of power generation levels. So it is possible that in terms of the base itself, or like if there is a base itself, which I know you missed boom and bust, but basically you have encountered at least one asteroid station built by Nausicaans before. It is possible there is a similar setup. The power generation probably roughly corresponds to that. Whether there is something that would be part of like a weapon system or anything of the sort is difficult to say exactly. That's very much dependent on who built it and why. The other signatures, if they correspond to ships, then some of them you would suspect are smaller than the Aegis or less powerful. So I'd say, energy signatures that suggest roughly scale 2 sized vessels, whereas the Aegis is a scale 3 for a sense of perspective. There is at least one readout that suggests a scale 3 vessel, so something comparable to the Aegis.
Okay. Open to suggestions for my second question. Otherwise, I'll ask another one.
Related, I don't want to use up the question because I would think I would know this. When it came to that freighter that had the chemosite, what class of size was it? I have the details, right, for that to find the ship.
For reference, I think that I'm trying to remember. I think freighters of the era are treated either as a scale 2 or 3 in and of themselves.
I just know it was a lot of chemosite, so I'm just wondering, like,
yeah,
if it applied to its size as well. But for this, I imagine I got the data from the Tellarites because they want me to go find this damn ship. So, like, what scale of ship was the freighter? A 2 or a 3?
I believe that it would have been a 3. The way that, and in particular, just a quick plug for those interested, the Utopia Planitia book that Modiphius recently released is the quintessential starship book. It has, of course, it has its own, like a full list of all the different designs that Starfleet uses, as exhaustive a list as anything from the NX era up to the 25th century, and kind of in Star Trek Online era games. With that being said, it also offers a lot in terms of plot details regarding ships, or like regarding what might go into considerations for a ship, all manner of talents, and like story beats that you can use to make things work. They have also a lot speaking specifically to customizing a ship, and a lot that goes into that, like when it comes to scale. Part of it can speak to size, part of it can also speak to sort of crew and capability. Just going back over the notes here. Actually, I must issue a correction. A scale 2 would have been appropriate for the Tellarite freighter. I apologize, that error was mine.
No worries.
I have an idea. For my second question, then I know at this range and also with the nebula, like if I ask for life sign readings, I'm not going to get individual ones, but can I get like a heat map or something? Like I'm imagining if you have like a couple hundred people on an asteroid base, they probably show up as like a big blob. Like I don't want the individual blobs. Can I see like, is whatever this is up ahead inhabited, and does it seem like super inhabited? Or
I definitely think there is a, from this range, and only just because of what the momentum does for you, mixed with your skill and the Aegis's very capable sensors, you do get a large enough biosignature readout suggesting this base could have maybe 200-300 people on it or something along that line. You can't rule out other biosignatures that may not relate precisely to sapient life. Like there could be other sorts of biomass there that are contributing to it, and for a lot of these types of stations, an established type would definitely have, like, to supplement any sort of ship-based thing, there was probably some flora or fauna, and depending on what the base traffics in or like trades, then there may be other things in that area. But that's
one Nausicaan and a couple hundred bunnies or puppies.
Yep. Everything must go.
Okay, yeah, I relay all that to everybody else.
Just triples the entire station.
Oh God.
Yeah. You come back.
Can a tribble be
It's the
a
only
tribble
way.
be a vector for an antimatter bomb? I wonder.
That's the beginning of our crossover event with Broken Sword.
Yep. Oh no. That's
And we
so
explore where the hatred of the Klingons of the Trolls comes from.
It's so brilliant. It completely yeah. You know, you called it. It was Cyrano Jones came back in time and he brought a tribble and it ate all the chemosite, and now basically it's the birth of the over tribble, the tribble cosmozoa.
It's called Albus.
He has a cosmic tribble. But yes, for those that don't get that reference, I have a chinchilla and he is a glorious boy
And a menace.
and a menace and a mischief. Absolutely. In any case, let's keep going from there. So yeah, those are the extra details you are able to pick out with Studious. You may say you have relayed as much of that by word of mouth as you like. If there's anything you want to share or like an idea you want to pick up for discussion, then by all means, the scene is yours.
All right, how far away from the from this possible base or mass of signatures?
Connolly looks back. Plot convenient distance, Captain. We definitely. They don't see us yet, or I don't think they'd see us yet. I wouldn't expect they'd see us yet. I'm not a scientist, so I could just be mistaken here, but something tells me that they don't.
I appreciate the attempt, Conley.
We got. I suppose we had time if we want to plot around or plan something.
If we wanted to infiltrate, we shouldn't bring the Aegis. It's too official looking ship. But we do have a non-Starfleet ship in our shuttle bay. If we can persuade Raoul to part with it.
We do. Is there anywhere we can hide the Aegis? Looks over to Patel.
Just thinking out loud, he would be like, I'm sure we could hide somewhere in one of the more dense pockets of the nebula, and he runs the numbers. And I would wonder if the GM would want me to roll for that or not, or how that would work.
Based on the success of your earlier roll, I will not ask you to do that. I think that using the dense nebula pocket would definitely be something that you could work to your advantage.
Hey, Zach, you're fragmenting a little bit. Oh, you're just starting a robot. It's like
how am I doing now? Is that any better?
You're good.
Yep.
Okay. I was just saying that I would not force Patel to roll for that. I think that based on the success of your previous roll, you would know. Like, I think that you could easily translate that into an advantage of spotting denser parts of the nebula where the Aegis could hide while you, or while while landing party goes in.
Cool. All right. So out of character, I think that's a really cool idea. Who wants to go posing as pirates?
I do.
Right, Shira. Look, I still forget names. Ben, do you want to be part of it? Because I know you didn't get much any session last. Get much screen time last.
Yeah,
session.
I'm thinking pilots could be fun.
I'll be a pirate.
Dr. Lambeth is definitely gonna. I feel like he can do piratey fairly well.
Either I will go or Chief Justice will.
You know what, Patel? You get the command seat again.
Oh, Lieutenant Shira, you're. Oh, wait.
Already volunteered. Sorry.
I can just see Sharp giving like Patel finger guns, letting him know, hey, you got command.
Yeah, she just considers, and then just there's a slowly uncomfortable creeping grin. Patel, and she just finger guns.
Yep. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Guess I have to do it sometime. So yeah, Patel is going to stay.
Yep. She'll just say, let Sorrel know that he's gonna start cleaning up his shuttle in a few minutes. As she gets up, you have the con, Patel.
He looks over, and Shira's probably also standing up from her from her console, and he just sighs. Walks over to the center seat.
Have fun.
I turn up the temperature by like 2 or 3 degrees.
I will duck into the elevator.
Yep, definitely gets a little bit definitely gets a little bit balmy. Let's see. I was distracted by trying to find that excellent Vice Admiral Janeway GIF for the Discord here. Anyway, so Sorrel, the audio line comes from the bridge. The captain wants you to clean up your shit.
Shit. Clean up your shit.
Yes, the translator didn't quite work there for a moment.
Sorrel, I need you to clean out your shuttle. We're going to probably use it for a surveillance. On top of other things.
Is that a request or requisition by a military action by the ship's captain?
Whichever gets it done.
How serious are you? Like player to player, it's like, is there still a smile in that? Or,
yeah, there's a smile tone.
Or is the hand is on the phaser?
No, there's a smile tone. It's, a humored tone.
He rolls his eyes. Fine. Goes in the shuttle. You hear some cluttering, and then just some boxes get thrown out. Like the big boxes just get thrown out. Most of them stay closed. Like one breaks open, just the cluttering of parts. How many people?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. If 5, unless you're coming.
It's my ship.
Then 6.
Not the box flies out. I hope you're comfortable with each other.
We'll fill it. We'll figure it out. GM, I mounted this on my outfit, my extra outfit for this.
Gotcha.
Somewhere.
Yeah, everyone as so we'll say with the request there's a brief commercial cut, and when we return the ship, let's see, we get a view of. Obviously, the Aegis isn't in quite this close, although we could say it's conveniently near another bit of asteroids in the system, with a view both of open space and the nebula. But yes, the Aegis is somewhere in rough proximity, a far ways out from the star system, from the particular base, but enough so that Sorrel's warp-capable shuttle can make it in. As Sorrel is packing away different elements of projects either long forgotten, put on hold very briefly, or otherwise just not touched for some amount of time, and then other things that maybe he was just hoarding for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, both. And sometimes the difference is negligible. Also, I imagine like the interior shot is probably him at the control seat, and then behind him like 5 people in a space that clearly only sit 3 tops. So very crowded.
Are they sharing chairs, or did you leave some boxes in there for?
They
some
probably
group?
have to improvise. Like, I feel 6 people is a lot for the shuttle, even under ideal circumstances.
I will come armed with a phase pistol and my Ushan.
Copy that. That is actually a question here at the start. Are we bringing? Do you want to pay the escalation cost to bring particle rifles along for this one?
Well, we couldn't conceal a particle rifle.
No, well, it's more of something that Captain will communicate with you while she's getting ready through communications. It's more of if we're squeezing into that small of a shuttle, I doubt we're going to be lugging around rifles because we probably aren't in there for in any pleasant manner or prepared manner.
That will just kick out some of Soral's crap and put the phase rifles in.
I mean, what's the cover story anyway? Like, who are we? Or are we just trying not to be noticed?
You're going to be my band of cohorts who we had to make a flea as some Calrites got a lot more cocky than they usually are, and we're out here further out just to try to find a nice place to start up again.
Oh, and you requisitioned my shuttle in the process? Am I a prisoner?
I mean, you could be an assistant or a whatever. Yeah, sure. You're my prisoner. Or you joined in, because why not?
How exciting. Tips in a course correction.
As let's set the scene a little bit more and kind of go down once again in rank order here, which in this case I think will shift Patel down to the bottom of the list to see. Well, no, he's still a specialist, so the chief will come just before Saral here. That being said, I imagine the order was for non-standard gear or not uniforms this time, Sharp.
Yeah, non-standard gear. I don't want to see a hint of Starfleet as much as I can. Much as you can.
Copy that. So going down that line again in rank order here. How's everyone going dressed for this? Start with Sharp, please.
Sharp has a very rough but still reasonably put together leather jacket or so. Though underneath it is a very torn up tank top. That certainly has a bit more cleavage than usual. Her hair has been dyed and oiled to the point where it's slicked back as opposed to forward, with the blonde still on the tips. Her eyes have been shadowed, and her teeth have been yellowed with caffeine. And she has popped in a gold cap at one of her teeth. There is a trying to think of the right kind. There would be a alien equivalent of a phaser or disruptor. You can GM. You can give me whatever species that would be. And a large Bowie knife that is sheathed across her inside of her coat, and a few rings.
The only issue with the weaponry, I'm not sure that we would have, rather that the Aegis would have anything in its stores that would. Well, I don't know that they would be carrying anything non-standard. You don't have quite the same armory as you were used to on the Franklin, is the only problem.
True enough.
So
All right.
you could still do a phase pistol, and you could have it concealed, but like display the Bowie knife so that you don't necessarily give yourself away.
I would quickly try to aesthetically modify, like tear off the parts of the casings of the phasers, so it looks like I stole it and it's been beat up a few bits.
File down the serial number.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I have at least one phaser that I picked up somewhere for myself. How high is the chances that I have maybe more? It's like I don't have an armory or anything like that, but Soral is apparently a hoarder.
I don't mind the file down, aftermarket phaser. The aftermarket phaser looks actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, Soral does make a point. So if you would like to create the advantage that Soral has just a crate of some sort of weapon around, then I would be prepared to. I'd be prepared to entertain that.
Probably not a crate, but like strewn all over the place.
Yep.
It's not impossible.
You just got to put them back together. That's what I think. It's like they're all in pieces. You got to put them back together.
That's the other half of the phasers I have somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
This is the hilt of the phaser. Where was the energy emitting matrix again?
Yeah, I'll spend the two. If you guys are fine with it, I'll spend the 2 momentum and give us all something to work with.
Yeah.
No work.
I'll tell you what, Soral.
You're happy to make up whatever you want. Like, I have no frame of what they are. They can be as non-lethal to too lethal as you would like. Surprise us, I would say. Surprise us.
Felix, give me a 2d20 roll, please. Or rather, no, just a 1d20 roll. It doesn't have to be off the character sheet. It can just be like within roll 20. Okay, so with that. Oh. Okay, this would be fun. There's a crate, one of the crates that's left over, that is marked with. I don't think anyone else would immediately recognize this. Maybe Romanov, but it is a Vulcan indicator for a like light radioactive hazard.
Oh, she'd know that.
Okay. There is one such box that you recall having, and you pop it open. These you recall that you'd picked up just like a jumbled mess of like parts, but in there were half a dozen disruptors. You don't remember exactly where you got them. There was it might have actually been at some point when you were on a Tellarite planet. They just threw it in. Apparently, relics from the last war with their terrible foe that they referred to as the Kazin.
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't look at Romov. Don't worry. This is not radioactive.
I was about to say, she's looking at you with like big eyes and then looking down at that, but you answer the questions.
It's probably not radioactive. No, it's not radioactive. Probably.
Yeah. You turn it on, and there's like green glowing bits of the disruptor pistols.
Yeah, she just gives like the face that she's trying to pose as kind of drops a little bit. She kind of gives like a mild glare into Soral, but starts handing him out. Thank you, Doc. When we get out of here, be sure to patch us up with some radiation medicine.
That understood.
On that note, I want to keep going down the line here.
Yep.
First, Romanov, any notes you'd want to do on your like non-standard uniform dress? What's your pirate look here?
Oh yeah, I mean I know like this look. I'm gonna basically look like a boomer engineer with overalls and like parts, and the hair's maybe a little crazy and a little grease. What you would expect to see from a boomer or a pirate engineer. She'd
So
know that.
Romanoff's basically changing into her casual outfit then.
Probably. Well, no, she has more tasteful stuff, but she probably has some of like her old work overalls from working, the docks around Alpha Centauri. So that's what she'll put on because it'll look like an engineer. Might as well pose as what you pose as best.
Okay. Shira, anything special on your end?
She'll be dressed in a tank top and leather trousers and got pouches. One for whatever horrible disruptor weapon that Saral has got lurking around, and another for Shantor. Yeah. Says about that.
She's also got a ponytail. She's done the ponytail thing, so because that keeps the hair out of the way as an engineer.
I've got stylishly finished off with a chain belt thing.
Okay. And then let's see. Dr. Lambeth, any particular special change to the wardrobe here for your pirate look?
Probably just like a great big overcoat with plenty of room for concealed weapons and stuff like that, and I guess like a disguised medical bag, sort of, just like a big bag that's got all of his medical gear in it.
Copy that.
Along with plenty of less than legal substances or whatever that he can throw around for a bribe or something like that.
Yes. Pulled from his personal stockpile, I imagine.
Yes, definitely personal stockpile. Definitely not taking any from the job.
Oh, yep. Well, yeah. There's no reason you don't see Dr. Lambeth regularly. Don't worry about it. Anyway, and then Chief Justice. Obviously, the aviators are a must, but how else do you think Chief Justice is dressing for this?
So I think Chief Justice maybe misunderstood the briefing a little bit, and he's going. He leaned into the space pirate part of things, not the pirate part of things. And so he rounds the corner, walks into the shuttle bay, and he's got this. Like, I imagine the camera is like panning from like his boots all the way up, and he's wearing like knee-high leather boots with like a long leather trench coat. Like, think like very much out of the Matrix. And like his aviators have been replaced with these super tactical Ray-Bans from like 1999. And his hair is like very, very like super gelled and spiked. And he's got like he's holding up a hand scanner or something, and it's like playing from the tinny little speaker. It's playing like really bad late 90s EDM music. And he's grooving as he's walking into the shuttle bay.
Perfect. The man knows how to enter a room.
As a slight modification, I would say with the doctor's help, I would like grow out my hair because I now have a fade. I grow out my fade a little bit, just slight to make it more ragged, and that the gold caps on my teeth are actually on my cuspids, my fangs. So now I have a nice sort of predatory type of glinting smile.
There's
okay,
a
correction. Now we're not doing the Matrix. Now we're doing Blade.
There's a lot of emergency dentistry and other things going on here. Thankfully, I imagine at least one box in Saral's thing has the supplemental.
Gotta keep the image.
The players would recognize she has a Hello Kitty pin on, but it just looks like some Earth cartoony thing.
Dude, you are a space pirate. You do what you want. It is.
That's
like
right. And Hello Kitty's okay.
God damn it.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, and then Saral, as you are under the guise of someone just being taken captive by this bunch, or maybe volunteering with them, anything special you want to do to modify your appearance, or are you good as is?
I mean, Soral never really had a uniform or anything, so some pair of like work pants whose original color is completely unidentifiable. Some vaguely Vulcan origin shirt with like a similar jacket over it that's also patched up several times and has many stains on it. And since he has probably also worked late, again, he probably looks messy anyway. So a couple of strands of hair are loose. The beard is a bit more scraggly than usual.
Yep. Basically, you just scruffed yourself up before.
I'm just looking like Soral, to be perfectly honest. I just had no preparation time.
Yep. These bunch of space pirate like Starfleet's idea of space pirates just walked into your ship and said, "Hey, we need to borrow this for a bit."
Yeah, I mean, Soral is not a space pirate. He could be one if you just look at him. He's just like, I'm living in space, and I don't care much about having the newest clothes or stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's a bit fucked up.
Nope.
I think the bouncer's going to let us in. We're going to have a good night at the club.
Very good, very good.
You do know where we're going, right, Justice?
Yeah, totally. Pirates Den, right? It's the best club in San Francisco.
Yep.
No.
Yep. No, that's correct. Yep.
He smiles and like a little glint, sort of light beams off of one of his teeth. Ding.
All this extra shiny stuff is gonna cause problems when we hit lights.
It will be fine. For now, once we're on that ship and once we're out of here, out of the Aegis, I go by Eddie.
All right, Eddie.
Eddie Teach or Dark Star.
What?
Trust me, it's a long story.
Eddie Teach Shaw Dark Star?
Mm-hmm.
Dark Star.
Mm-hmm. It actually works, surprisingly.
Does it? Okay.
Oh, we all putting together some names, because in that case, I'm.
Antenna are full of doubt, but.
Romanov's watching. She knows what that means. She's seen her look at some of the food in the galley and, watched those antenna move. So she's starting to be able to interpret antenna.
It occurs to old Chief Justice that somebody with my name probably shouldn't be going into a pirate base, so you can call me
Chief Injustice.
Dylan Crimes.
All right.
Beautiful.
I gotta write these down. Dark Star.
Eddie really?
Is that Captain Darkstar or Mrs. Darkstar?
Dylan what?
Romanov. It's a play on Blackbeard, she says.
Oh, but what is it? It's Dylan what?
Dylan Crimes, like doing crimes.
Crimes. Love it. Huh.
Oh yeah, just Danny for me.
Huh. What's the option?
Danny Bones is the old. Yeah. Danny Sawbones. Let's go with that.
Danny Sawbones.
I love the effort and detail going into all the names. It's beautiful stuff. Saral just I could see Saral being the one person not bothering with this. Just
no, I'm absolutely not bothering. I have another stupid idea though.
What's that?
She goes by Jenny Wrench.
No, I'm just thinking if I'm being taken prisoner by pirates, it's like it turns to the captain. Captain, maybe we should sell this. Punch me.
She doesn't even wait. She just punches you.
Yeah, I was trying figuring you wouldn't even hesitate for a single second. He hasn't even finished speaking. He's already on the floor.
Yep. Captain, difficulty 1, daring and security, please.
I actually don't have anything for that. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then close quarters combat, CQC. And let's go.
Okay, 2 successes on the board, so that will give you 1 more momentum. And go ahead and roll damage.
It'd be a 1. It'd be a 1 momentum left. It won't be 2. But
yeah, you get 1 momentum.
Yeah, somebody, Shira, can you remove 1 momentum? So we use the 2 for the Kazin blasters.
Oh yeah, that's right. So.
And then damage, you said?
Yes, go ahead and. I guess technically you don't have to roll damage if you didn't want to do it that hard.
I think there's maybe the captain speaking, not the player. It's just like, kill him.
No, I have to make it look good.
Okay, Saral, you take 2 points of stress and you have a black eye, or
that was the plan.
A dark emerald green eye.
All right. Telling all the colors.
Are we all punching Saral?
It's like a therapy session.
Don't stretch it, Shira.
God, this isn't necessarily a I consider this a very Vulcan agnostic group, indeed, as we are agnostic towards all, but not like a. We're not necessarily pro Vulcan, but this isn't a punch the Vulcan.
No, it is
stream and group whatnot.
She'll just raise her hand as Shira's about to. It's like, no,
just get out the iron bar.
Captain's privilege.
Captain's privilege. Very pirate of you, sir, ma'am. Very pirate of you.
Okay, so yeah, the bunch of you, with Saral taking his lump and everyone debating discussing their aliases and outfits, you depart from the Aegis, moving along at impulse power into the system. So. I won't force a roll here for justice as you begin to approach this area. But what can be said of the zone as you approach is that it is indeed very well. As you approach the asteroids, the fragment is the cluster that you approach is fairly dense in some areas, but there are easily some paths that could be taken by different scale ships. There's really only one viable path for something as large as the Aegis, or without any risk of navigational hazards, which would have made for complications if you had tried to intervene here. For the other viable paths, something slightly larger than the shuttle in most cases, like a scale 2 that was of a size slightly larger than that could probably make the approach with relative ease. So that being said, as you round some of the paths and begin to make your way through some of the asteroid screen, you find the largest of them set out ahead, and not sure where the shuttle is or why that's not registering. I'll get that properly back up.
Oh, I've deactivated cloak.
Yes, obviously there's no cloak here. What do you think this is, a Romulan ship? Who even are they? Never heard of it.
Very interesting that you would expect to have a cloaking device on your ship.
I expect nothing.
Yep. So, your as you round round some of the last paths, we'll say that for our purposes, this larger asteroid here is the major target, and what is kind of just out of view is a recessed section, one that has clearly been excavated, and that has basically a vacuum exposed dockyard, one where a number of ships are either docked or are able to dock. I would say in total, you can spot berths for probably at least 12 ships. 7 of those are occupied. Most seem to be most seem to be for smaller vessels, although there are 3 freighters in the mix, um, and there are a few ships in orbit. I would ask, as far as identifying everything else here, this would either be a reason and science or reason and con roll for starship identification. Also, since this is the first time Chief Justice has been used in this session, or this adventure rather, he will technically get an activation here.
Ooh.
So,
what's that do again? Sorry.
So for a supporting character, an activation can happen once per adventure, and it gives them either they may at one time add a point in a single discipline, a point in a single attribute. Alternatively, they may add a talent, value, or focus. And I think last time actually we added multitasking. Which is a con-related talent that allows you basically to use your con discipline for other tasks.
Oh, that's good. Otherwise, I was going to say I would pump up his security a little bit, but
yeah. Well, you had multitasking from last time, so you can still bump up his security right now. That's perfectly viable.
I'm going to do that just because I'd like to build him out as like a generic dude who can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Chief Justice, he's just some guy out in space.
He's just this guy, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? Chief Justice is a pretty cool guy. He flies shuttles and doesn't afraid of anything. My bones creak with the ancient memes.
I can't edit the sheet, or is that only a you thing?
Oh no, you should be able to edit that. I'm sorry. Let me. Okay, so what we need to do here? You see the. Let's see. You should be able to raise the number yourself. Let me. Here.
Oh, derp. Yep. Okay, it's good. We're good.
Yeah, I was going to say for the talent, value, or focus, you just need to click the gear widgets to be able to change things. But for the other ones, I should just be able to change the numbers or enter the number boxes. Anyway, yeah, so with that, would anyone like to attempt that roll just to identify everything that's in the area?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call this Reason and Science difficulty 2. Anyone who wants to assist, I would say Reason and Con would be the next most viable role for starship identification. Sorrel gets 2
Anyone
successes
want
there.
to roll for advantages? Not advantages.
Momentum.
Momentum.
So
That
what
was
is
what I
it
was looking for.
for the shuttle, right?
Well,
you have your own ship.
I was going to say somebody else could just roll to assist here with Reason and Con if they were interested.
Oh, okay.
Or reason and science.
Yep.
I have very poor of either of those, so actually,
Probably should not be me.
I'll try, unless somebody has. I have 11 for science.
Really, would have never occurred to me that none of you are all at all reasonable.
Hold on, I might be able to do it.
I have 11. What about you, Romanov?
I'm very unreasonable. I'm a Mandorian.
I only have science at 2.
All right,
So,
I'll roll.
yeah, re-roll.
I mean, what about Chief Justice? He has a high con, I presume.
There we
No,
go.
He's got 2 con.
never mind then.
He's still a scrub.
1 momentum.
Okay. Yep, that will give you 1 point of momentum. So, among the ships that you have in readout here, some designs are just completely unfamiliar or are so generic in nature that it's tough to identify. Of those that are immediately active, there appear to be 2 Nausicaan raiders. They are bearing similar markings, which would suggest some sort of alliance or like parity in terms of their own, in terms of the basically that they are working together. The largest vessel, and the one that is still operational, or rather, I should say the most capable among the ships that are here, is a single Mazarite raider. For a bit of reference, the Mazarite they're a sparsely contacted. Well, you don't hear much from them, but they are a species with, or one of the species with a considerable sort of underground movement that has recently been on the back foot as their government, with some support from the Vulcans, has been imposing very harsh crackdowns. I'd say that for anyone who might be in the know, it's been actually a fairly bloody situation, and the pendulum seems to be swinging back and forth between the 2 of them, just creating general chaos for Mazar society. Other than that, there are, among the docked ships, there are 3 freighters, one of which is recognizably Rigelian, the other 2 are not recognizable at all, which does mean that the Tellerate freighter, if it is or was in this area, it is either being hidden or seems to have moved on. The other ships, there is at least 1 Malurian vessel, a reptilian species that is known also for a bit of an underworld issue, and well known as sort of, or rather, they have in some cases a reputation for infiltration. Then other than that, there is 1 small Orion vessel, a scale 2 raiding type ship, and then the other ships, just going off my list here, nothing that anyone would immediately recognize.
So nothing in my rogues gallery, as it were, that I'm familiar with.
Oh well, I mean, the Nausicaan raiders, of which actually there is still 1 there that is docked. But the main ships that you would be familiar with, that you've probably dealt with, would be ships of the same class as the Interceptor, the Orion-built ship.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen a Rigelian freighter or 2 on occasion. Otherwise, yeah, mostly your familiarity lies with the Nausicaans.
All right.
That Interceptor, that looks familiar. Has Eula seen that type before?
It does correspond with ships that Andorian vessels have probably gone toe-to-toe with before, something that you are trained to deal with. And much as you are practicing, it's very much the situation where you prepare for, like you would expect, maneuverable raiding tactics, essentially.
It's probably the one.
Probably, more than likely. Dylan, Landa, she just like shakes her head, just points to a random open port. That one.
Going on approach.
Yep.
No one's hailed us yet.
Yep. As you make your way in, one of the raiders makes a bit of a pass, and you get a general transmission saying, "Take care, not to make a mess." or we take the ship as collateral.
Respond with same to you. Just that. She says.
Okay, like looks at the corner of her eye and is fine. And respond.
Well, they don't pay you much mind after that. As you're making the docking maneuver, one of them might make another slightly closer pass just to kind of buzz you slightly, or like let you slightly feel the shake of an impulse wake passing by. But otherwise, you're not. They do nothing to impede your progress and allow the shuttle to dock.
Resisting the urge to rev the engine.
Indeed. So, once the shuttle docks and a docking arm extends so that you have a hatch between the shuttle and and the station, you'll have the opportunity to board. Let's see here. Just getting set to move this in. Anyone do any sort of final pass or preparation before you step into the station here?
Yep. Saral, I need an ace in the hole. At least a good bluff. Anyway, I can. You can create a remote access to power up the warp engines. Just power them up and set them.
Of the shuttle?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Soral might have that actually already.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Yeah.
Can you give me the remote? Nope.
Is that, he gives you like this look. It's just like this is a lot of my property you're dealing with today. Kind of.
He stares at you with actually a very creepy, unblinking stare and offers her hand. Please.
If you're trying to stare me down, I was raised by Vulcans.
I know.
Like, fishes like some kind of handheld device out of his breast pocket and gives it to her. Engines, navigational computer, and access hatch.
Thank you. She tests it very, very quickly. Just like a very beep beep, like on off to see if it does work. And I'm not being swindled. And then once she's sure it is, and then she just stuffs it in her pocket. Thank you.
I get that back.
You will.
So what's your plan now? What are we doing?
We see what the Orion Interceptor is here for. Who's in charge? Hopefully they are more of part of the royalty, and if not, then they're acting independent. And where the hell the what's going on this side of the galaxy? Someone
I would
saw
prefer
it.
to stay here, to be honest. I don't trust pirates to leave my ship alone.
Do you want to stay here?
Yeah.
I would think you would like to socialize a bit more.
Well, not if my things get stolen. Looks at you.
She just grins a wide grin. Very toothy grin.
There might be just like a smile playing at the corner of his mouth, but it's like I'd like to keep an eye on things. I do. It might not look like it, but I do have things here that I care about.
Yeah, there's a bit of a deathly grin. She just says, "True enough. All right, mind the ship. If it starts powering up, don't mind it. I won't let anything happen to it."
I mean, since I'm your prisoner, I don't have access to the controls anyway, so I'm just here to watch the ship. And he sits down, folds his hands.
All right. Anyone else want to say? Nope. Cool. All right, let's go.
Okay.
I open the hatch, and I just kick it open because it's taking too long.
Just for fluff, give me one more daring and security roll. I'm going to set the difficulty on this task to 2 here.
I would also say, since the captain kind of seems to know her stuff, Soral probably has dealt with pirates in the past, but he's not happy about it in general.
Fair enough.
That's true. That's fair. CQC, and we have more than one momentum, I do believe. We have 2 at least. I'm gonna spend that 1 though, and then to make it up to 3 because I don't trust my dice.
Okay,
But apparently it doesn't matter. So I get 2 back.
Yep,
So
I will assign the 2 points for Shira here. So there we go. So as the hatch opens to any external viewer, just Sharp's very well modulated kick sends the hatch up faster than it would, and it definitely makes an impression around for the handful of passersby.
Hey, my ship! Soral just yells behind her.
Oh, the most unconvincing assist.
Hey,
I guess to be fair, you haven't rolled, and it wasn't a nat 20 if it were.
Who says I was bluffing?
Fair enough. So yeah, I believe it is Captain Eddie Darkstar, Jenny Wrench, Danny Sawbones, Dylan Crimes, and well, gee, I don't know. Shira had a name assigned, so we'll just call her the.
Okay, fine. It's Rin Chirana.
Rin Chirana. I see it.
A combination of
I like the idea.
8 grandmothers' names.
I like the idea that this is to us the most corny pirates' names ever, but in Universal Translator, it's just like Gowron.
Yeah, no. If you were going to a human station, this would be the most transparent cosplay nonsense.
Right.
Or at least some of the others would be. Half of the crew would be cosplay nonsense. The other half would be at least somewhat bought. But yeah, the translators just, it gets across basically that these are meaningful names if the words link properly. So it's like this man was named Crimes. Clearly, he grew into the right profession. Funny how that happens. Yep. But yeah, as you enter into the starport, it is very rough, but very firmly sort of built mechanical setup. This is clearly, as opposed to the previous base you were on, this is a station that was very much had the compartments built into it so as to make the most use of life support systems, artificial gravity, and whatnot. There wasn't the same advantages, or maybe it's just at a further stage of development. In any case, there are a number of displays and a number of different peoples throughout the area. You recognize some species, at least some of you have an idea of some. There are definitely plenty of Nausicaans about. You may recognize some Mazarites, Malurians, a handful of Orions in different places, and all manner of other species that just are beyond recognition. This is where some of the season's alien budget went in terms of just providing a general feel of that.
Menagerie, just a general menagerie of random aliens. Yeah.
Exactly. You are greeted with an array of like the first thing that you feel is actually that the station is deliberately kept very warm and humid, such that Shira, when you step in, you are immediately like quite uncomfortable. Um,
Always so warm. Such a complete waste of energy.
Well-
If you have a problem with it, you can go back to the fucking ship. She says with a snap, and just grins. Besides, I love it here. It's a great place. I'm glad I own it. She says. As
Yeah,
she just
sure, Eddie.
starts walking.
Yep. As the five of you pass by, you see that like you're coming out in basically a sort of out of a small alcove where the docking port kind of links up. There is an attendant there uh, who appears, we'll say, is I think we will say it is actually a Mazarite. So for a rough sense of that, I'll throw out one of their tokens here. That would be. Sorry, just one moment here, getting that out. Oh, well, for whatever reason, that isn't working. You know what, we'll change it to an Orion because that token is working perfectly fine. Yeah, one of them, a big burly dude, will come up to you and just say, "Wait."
She'll just try to walk past anyways.
I said, wait.
4. She looks up.
Gotta pay your docking fees now, don't you?
I already paid them.
Oh, yes, well, maybe you paid one set, but you haven't paid mine.
She just grins. And how much would it be exactly?
Let's see. At least, I'd say along the lines of 30 Rigelian credits ought to do.
Oh, 30 Rigelian.
I'll take the equivalent if you've got it in something else. Just well, Earther money. It's going to be quite a bit more.
Not bad, not bad. She like pouts and like thinks for a moment. And I'm just gonna kick him straight in the no place for Orions.
Yes.
And then knee him in the face when he bends over.
Okay, one more daring and security, and this time you will be met with a contested roll here.
Cool. I'm going to just so I don't flub this, I'm going to use my value here. And I don't start fights, I finish them. I start fights and finish them, but I also don't start fights, I finish them.
Those are two values.
Yeah. The GM is momentarily, his eyes are bouncing back and forth as the contradictions cause the god computer secretly behind these
Either that or
games to
Kirk made it famous for it, but I laid the groundwork.
You know, I like that one better for this.
Okay.
So I will take that. He will roll. Oh no.
Oh.
This is not his day. So one success plus the auto. Yeah, I'm guessing the auto crit. Okay, yep. So that'll give you back 2 momentum, and yeah. Groin shot. He crumples. Knee to the face. He goes down.
I will drop my drop on top of him with my knees between both sides of his head, pull out my knife and start just like tapping his cheek. And how much would I get from, let's say, your eye, maybe? Which one do you like better?
I rather like both of them today.
So, how much do I owe? She grins.
He sputters for a moment and spits up spits up blood. Enjoy your stay at Unicon.
He learns fast.
Good boy. She pats him on the cheek and then gets up. Come on, let's go.
So, if you're ever in need of a doctor's services, I'm Danny Sawbones. Give me a call.
Not now, Doc.
The Orion man is just going to spit in your general direction, Danny, before just crumpling back down.
Someone hygienic.
Yep. As the five of you pass by, somebody will eventually come to pick him up. I think that, let's see, I'm going to do one roll here just to see if you made an impression here. See. Oh no.
Minor fever against us.
Well, the thing is, I genuinely do not, because I was just seeing if he'd notice or care about you, which could be a neutral proposition in and of itself. He obviously doesn't see you, but that I don't know how to fluff this competition or this complication here.
He's terrified of me.
I guess that, well, see, that depends on noticing. Well, this may have been an assessment of whether you are someone to speak to. So, actually, yeah, I think that somebody might have seen or heard something from you, but they've decided that you are someone to absolutely steer clear of. And in the event that you don't, then perhaps that means problems down the line. So we will see.
So, I mean, if it's against us, I'd rather pay the momentum. If it's a benefit to us, I'd rather keep it.
I mean, tell you what, I'm actually going to call upon one of his values, which is opportunity at every turn. For this particular character, and that way we can re-roll this and try to avoid this whole mess here.
There we go.
Much better.
Also, veteran.
Oh yes.
God damn it.
Well, we're near the end of this session anyway.
Yeah,
so
we're near the end of the session. So not a big deal. Yeah, fair enough.
The GM maintains at least the friendly attitude when it comes to
values.
Yes.
Determination.
But that being said, you are greeted with loud, booming laughter from another part of the corridor. You see, just down the way, a burly Noskin gentleman, decked out in full armoring disruptor and a rather nasty longsword, strapped over his back, just clapping along. Naturals all.
She just pauses and then gives a flourish of a bow. Thank you.
Usually I have to go into the main club to get that type of entertainment. But this makes for a nice pre-show, I rather think.
I always like to
entertain.
That we are. I do enjoy entertainment.
Then perhaps just maybe you you'd be interested in meeting, well, at least coming to watch the main attraction here. I must say, I've been long waiting to see Armatrix the Destroyer in action again.
Certainly, I do enjoy something nice to watch. Lead the way.
And he will do so. I am Dagnar, and well, if today is any success, then I shall become the founder of a name that should go down in history. One that might at least show up a few more times in the future.
I am Darkstar, and this is what's left of my crew. Gestures in the direction of her team.
Ah, yes, the other people, of course. What brings you all here?
She frowns. Apparently, someone picked up enough Klingon shit that the Tellarites have lost their minds, and I ruined my job. She says, I'm here to go pay a bit of a visit to anyone who did that. Get my little pound of flesh for it all.
Well, only fools go off and try to engage the Klingons, which explains why a good number of my people have done it.
Proverbial shit. I meant the Tellarites. She shakes her head.
Oh.
The Tellarites have lost their minds. Military everywhere, putting on guard to every single thing, scooping up people from the dozens, if not hundreds, for any sort of slight. I just got away with bare skin in my teeth, she says with a grin.
Oh. Apparently a little more than that, says, just regarding over the crew. Oh, well, I guess this is as good a place as any if you're trying to pick up the pieces. You may have to find some receptive work here. But if nothing else, drown your sorrows away.
Any good ships come in? She says. I could use a good ship, she says, with a smirk.
No.
She's obviously gonna fucking steal it.
Yep. None I'd particularly recommend unless you want to come and work for me. But then I'd much rather you had your own ship at this point. But maybe, just maybe, you'll have your someone else might be able to connect you. I was going to gather around some friends, a few of the higher rollers, and see what we could figure out. In any case, well, I take it from the sound of it you've never been here before.
Most of the place I do end up burning, she says, which is none of my fault, she says with like a chuckle and like a wide arm raise of like,
Well, I think you'll find Yudakan is a place of many different persuasions, many opportunities, but precious few that you can trust all your own, so he taps the side of his face, or about where his nose is. I'd be careful if I were you. Not to trust anyone too much.
Oh, don't worry. I don't trust you in the slightest, she says with a lean in a whisper and a chuckle.
No. He laughs about he just gives you a big belly laugh and gestures with him. It's like, then follow me. And with that, I think that as we're approaching half past the hour, I think this is where we are going to go ahead and call it for today's session. So, we'll come back next week with the second part of this adventure in the arc. For everybody that's in the archive, this is where we are going to leave you off for this week. So we hope you'll rejoin us later for part 2 of Scum and Villainy. For anybody that is interested, we run these games live, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. That's 6 p.m. GMT if you are if you are a viewer in the Eurozone. So just let us know, and well, rather, feel free to pop by, give us a follow, whatever works. But until then, we will see you later.